Town of Norton Zoning Board of Appeals. We have two applications on the agenda tonight. The first is the application for 12 Walter Street. The applicant is Tom George, TMG Carpentry. And before we start, I have to recuse myself. I am a next-door neighbor of the named applicant, though not of the property. And I also have done some work for Mr. George, legal work, though minor, I think, to avoid the appearance of impropriety, which is one of the features of the Conflict, Act. I feel comfortable, stepping aside for that matter, and then I'll rejoin the meeting after that matter is closed off. So I'm going to ask Mr. Tenore to take over for the first item on the agenda.
Is the applicant here? How are you?
Good. I'm Tom George from TMG Carpentry,
Right.
and I submitted the application for Mr. Goulet here.
Okay, this is for a variance for an accessory apartment?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Do you want to kind of give a brief overview of what you're trying to do and what the variance is being sought for?
Sure. So we plan on putting an addition on the house, and there's a 30 by 25 addition for an accessory apartment,
Okay.
and that's why we're here. There's also an addition to increase the size of the house, roughly 20 by 22. That's going to be added onto the existing house for the, and that's about it. So apparently we exceed the lot coverage with this addition too, so we're asking for a little bit of forgiveness on that. By 1%.
Yeah. So they exceed the 25%. The setbacks are fine, correct?
The setbacks are fine, yeah. The bulkhead on the addition will bump into the setback a little bit, but I was told that
That's on the right.
that's on the right-hand side, yes, of the accessory apartment.
Does that count on the setback, though?
Any,
It's
To any part
it's a
of the
permanent
structure.
structure, right?
To any
So
part of
that
the
should be to the, I mean, we could deduct the 6 feet. You know what I mean?
what is that little bump out?
That, I think that's the
Bulkhead.
bulkhead you're talking
Yeah.
about on the right-hand side,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So that would make it down to,
and the engineer put that measurement on the plan, 19.2,
yep, that's with the bulkhead.
correct,
That's the 19.2 is the,
yes.
right.
Can I go back to the lot coverage real quick?
Yep.
I'm just a little confused, maybe I missed something, but how do we come up with, I'm looking at the lot coverage is 20% max, we're at 6.6 existing, equals
Adding-
14.1, are we adding 14, or?
It sounds like
Yes,
you're adding 14.
yes,
Oh, so it's 20.7, I guess. Is that what it's saying?
yes,
20.7?
exactly,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Sorry, I just wasn't, I thought proposed meant what it's going to be proposed.
No,
Okay.
that'll be total.
Gotcha.
I just,
Right. Proposed is not total. It's
Right.
it's the new add-on, I guess you could say.
Right.
So the total will be 20.7.
and is this addition, is this for an accessory apartment, or is this just a straight addition?
A portion of it is the accessory, 750 square feet is the accessory apartment. It's a 25 by 30.
Okay,
I
because
don't
some
know
of
if you
that was a
have a-
little confusing in the application, so you're only asking for 750 for the accessory,
Correct.
but then you're adding
20 by
21.
Yeah, it's roughly 22 deep by 20 feet wide.
Right.
That's going to be a family room for the existing dwelling.
Are you separating the accessory apartment?
Yes. Yep.
And this didn't go before building, right? Is that what I saw? This
Right,
didn't
I
go building
don't, Chris
before.
hadn't submitted any reply, so you didn't bring this to the building commissioner?
No, well, I've talked to him about it extensively, and he said just come here first.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
Assuming because it would be denied because of the,
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I guess we could have done that process, but he said, I mean, we knew we had to do it, so.
yep.
So the plans, as I read them, though, they don't seem to show a wall between the accessory and the additional 500 feet?
What you have in front of you is just really the foundation plot plan. I have a full set of plans here if you want to take a peek at it,
Okay,
and you'd see that there's a full wall in between.
okay. Gotcha.
So what do we add for square footage? What's the existing dwelling square footage and what are we,
The existing, I want to say it's 960 square feet.
960?
And you're looking to add on,
750 to that.
We're adding on 1250.
like,
I think.
12.
And you're adding, not adding 1250, correct? It's just the difference between 1250 and 960?
Right.
Okay.
No, I don't believe so.
No,
No.
No, it's 750 for the in-law apartment, 500 for the existing, so that's 1250.
Right, that's the 1250, so
So
it's a
the-
750.
yeah, so what we're adding to the existing house is only 440 square feet. It's going to be 22 deep. 20 feet wide by 22 deep. And then the accessory apartment will be 30 by 25.
Right, that's 750,
That's 750.
the accessory, and then you're adding 500 square feet to the front.
440. 20 by 22.
Okay, your application said 500.
Right.
So it's 440?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Right, so we're adding 1,190 feet.
Living space, yep.
Should we maybe look at this in two pieces? Maybe look at the accessory building first?
I'm reading the accessory apartment first right now.
Gotcha.
I mean, we can look at it too. Might make sense.
How many bedrooms in the accessory apartment? One?
In the accessory, yes, just one.
And with that, how many people are gonna have it?
The
The
accessory,
accessory?
one.
I mean, the only thing they don't have is J, but this is gonna be covered by the building inspector.
Exactly. Right,
So,
yeah.
even though it's not here, we don't have it, we don't need
And
it.
even I doesn't even apply anyways, too.
Correct.
All right. Is there any other questions?
I think we need a figure out the list of variances that they need. We need one for a setback.
Yep.
We need one for, exceeding 25% of the habitable floor area.
Those are the only two.
And lot coverage.
Wouldn't that be covered?
This is legal lot coverage, 20%. So,
So they'll be over.
They're at 20.7, it looks like, lot coverage.
Yep.
Because we don't need to give a, there's no variance on the accessory apartment, its definition.
Well, no, they wouldn't need that because it's under,
it's at 750.
it's at 750.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying,
so
right,
they
there's
wouldn't-
nothing, it
right.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Question also, parking. You do need to show a parking space, so where are you proposing to have a car parked?
Right now, the driveway runs right into where it says proposed porch. That, we were just gonna make it wider, am I right?
Anybody here? What's the concrete apron in the back? What is that?
That's for a pool.
Around the pool.
Yeah,
Oh, so there was a,
yeah.
oh, you know what? It got cut off.
Oh,
It looks
did?
like pod in my thing, and I'm like, existing pod.
Oh.
You know what I mean, where the fold is?
Well, yeah.
Looks like pod.
I guess one of the questions here is, do we even have a right to grant a variance where they're creating, if they would just make the structure slightly smaller, 2 variances wouldn't be needed? Is there a hardship? They have to show a hardship, isn't that part of it?
They would have to show a hardship,
What
right?
is the hardship that we're granting the variance for just by making it slightly smaller?
Well, the setback,
What is the side setback?
well, it's,
25 feet.
Should be 25.
It should be 25.
They're barely over.
Right.
so the side setback looks fine, except, I guess, if, with the bulkhead
With the
at
bulkhead bumps them down to 19.
19.
And technically, we have to.
You need to for that, that's a permanent structure.
That's what I'm saying, so we have to incorporate that bulkhead into that side setback. So he, I mean,
The reason the bulkhead's going where we have it labeled is because there's a fence normally that runs, it's gonna run from the end of the new addition around the property line to enclose the pool. So that's why we wanted the bulkhead out there.
it's gonna start wearing the back
The fence is gonna start at the back corner, yep.
corner.
That's where it is presently, and that's after we do the addition, we're gonna tie it into the back corner.
And the bulkhead's attaching to the accessory apartment?
Yes,
Okay, so you don't have any other access in and out of the accessory apartment other than the bulkhead?
no, there's a doorway on the front on the front porch to get into the accessory apartment, but that's the only way to get out of the basement, is through that bulkhead,
Okay, okay. Which, yeah.
for the accessory apartment.
Chris Carmichael, the building commissioner, is not here, but I know that's typically, if you have a basement, you need access out of it, so.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way you can move that bulkhead to another part,
The only other place we could put it is
maybe on the,
in the back, towards the pool, and we were trying to avoid that because of the fence. And it's a long way to get to if
yeah.
the driveway's in front of the porch, front
I was
porch.
trying, I mean, if you
Yeah.
did that, you're only, what, 2 inches off your setback?
Yeah,
And then
we wouldn't need a variance on the,
you lose 2 of your variances, you'd only be here for 25%.
in the accessory apartment.
I don't think we're gonna be granting a variance on the accessory apartment. There is no variance.
That's,
It seems to meet the definition of accessory apartment.
Right.
It is what it is. You meet the definition of an accessory
Yeah.
apartment, so I don't think it's,
It's just the bulkhead causes.
I think it's the
two
bulkhead.
variances.
Yeah,
I think if you move the bulkhead and if you can somehow come into, I know you're gonna have to alter your plans, but if you can meet that side setback, I mean, I think that would satisfy a lot of the request.
what's next door?
Does the driveway come into, expanding the driveway into the lot coverage? Does the driveway
You have to-
count to that? It does,
It's
right?
impermeable.
Impervious surface.
It's impervious.
Surface. But we don't have on here, correct me if I'm wrong, how much you're adding.
For
onto the
driveway? No, right now it's a gravel driveway.
Because that would be under the, that would be, if he was to comply on the side setback, right? It would come into the,
If we can get them to not give a variance with a side setback, and maybe by moving that, and if it gets shrunk just slightly,
they have like, what, 2 inches?
exactly, that the side setback now is not a problem. And now the lot coverage is our issue we're looking to give a variance for.
Right.
The other one comes into play, this is a non-conforming lot
Non-conforming.
to begin with, so.
Would there be any objection to trying to conform to that side setback?
We would have to redesign the plans to do that.
Dave, you have any other?
No, I guess, as far as the side setback, I guess I don't really have, I don't think I have too many, unless like a neighbor or something has a,
But
Going to it.
I was gonna ask if,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if there's anybody here from the public, but wanted to make sure you have any questions before we.
yeah. No. I don't think I do.
Can I ask if there's anybody from the public that is for or against this application? I don't see anybody for or against.
I want to stay on board.
Sure.
I'm the mother-in-law. I'm a widow moving in.
Mace, can you state your name?
Lori Lerner.
Lori Lerner. And you're gonna be the,
I'm the mother moving in.
all right. I mean, I think we're good with the accessory apartment. I guess at this point, we need to figure out, you know,
I'm trying to figure out how the non-conforming, being a previously non-conforming lot, how that fits in. Now we're making a new non-conformity
right.
with the setback.
Yep.
Non-conforming use may be changed, altered, shall not be substantially or more detrimental. I mean, it's the same.
Mm-hmm. Right. But A and B. Into 1.6 A and B.
I mean, definitely, I mean,
So when you go to B, and then you read 1.
you read one,
And that, now we're making it not comply to 1,
right.
so it doesn't comply to any setbacks.
That's right, residential alteration, single.
3, 2.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this will go, I mean, this doesn't, even if he complies, it doesn't go away, though. He,
So if we're gonna increase the non-conforming nature, right, that's what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
over the
What-
25%.
Well, the 25% is a different issue, right? That's like, I guess I'm looking at that as a different issue.
Okay.
But so we're gonna increase the non-conforming nature of the
The structure.
structure. And what are our guidelines as far as, when that if we're gonna give a variance, what are the guidelines we're following to give that variance?
If we're allowed to or not.
Yeah, in other words, are we allowed to give that variance, I guess what I'm wondering. Because it doesn't speak to it doesn't talk about, may not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and so on.
Right.
And it doesn't speak to that, it just says, it just speaks to what isn't an increase in non-conforming nature of the structure, but it doesn't seem to give us any guidelines or authority, I guess, for lack of a better word, to give a variance. Because we're Makes sense? I'm just not quite following if we can get this.
I'm in the same place.
Well, if you look at Article 10.3, about variance requirements, it does discuss about what authority you have to grant upon an appeal. It's
Kind of clears it up.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So it. Special condition. Maybe granted for those side setback frontage. And lot size.
So if we give them if we,
So we would give them a variance for, it would be,
side setback, lot coverage, and then how we phrase this, more than 25% of structure.
I guess I'm struggling with the fact that, you could move the bulkhead, you know what I mean? And all this goes away.
Well, one variance goes away by moving the bulkhead,
Well, yeah, that, you gotta shrink it by 2 inches.
and then that goes away.
That goes away. And I think that,
And maybe I'm misinterpreting the diagram, but you don't have to shrink it by 2 inches, right? It's 25 point, because you got,
like, right, because it's.
so if the bulkhead goes away, though, then you're off by 25.2.
You're still gonna grant the setback by, well, if you could, we could, right.
right, but they need a bulkhead.
They need,
Oh, I didn't say anything to the
they
bulkhead.
gotta move, right.
Let's say the bulkhead goes away, just for argument's sake.
They still need the
Right.
side setback, no matter what, good for that 2 inches.
But at 20, they're off by 25.2.
They'll be over. So
Yeah.
No, they would be
they would
meeting
Meeting it.
Right.
the side, if it's 25.2, once they jump beyond 25 feet,
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry, I was looking
Yep.
at the wrong way.
Yep.
My bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right, so that'd be good. So if they just move that,
Right, that variance goes away.
right,
There's
that
no
goes
reason-
away. We still have to deal with the lot coverage, right?
Yep.
Right, because that doesn't go away.
No, so we have a
What's-
variance for
You'd have
a
a
tiny
variance
amount
for,
lot
right,
coverage.
right. You'd have a variance for tiny amount for lot coverage. But then again, there's no objections, there's no,
Well, I think I'm just now trying to figure out how we phrase it correctly.
right. It would have to be so it would have to be. Let me see if I can. So we would grant it for,
I think it would be a variance granted for no increase in conforming nature under under section 175-1.6B, subsection 1, insufficient areas.
right. All right, so let's jot that down. So there would be a variance granted for no increase
In non-conforming nature,
in non-conforming,
under section 175-1.6B, subsection 1, insufficient areas.
insufficient areas. I guess that would cover, that should cover all of it.
Well, I was thinking
Well,
specifically the side setback.
Right.
That's covered under 1.
Right.
That's covered under setbacks.
Right. Yeah, setbacks are covered under 1. And then I guess,
And building coverage.
it's building coverage, yes, you're right. Yeah, that's right, it would cover both. Right.
Covers
Cover both.
everything.
Right.
And then also, then it would be the same for A. Does not increase the habitable floor area of the structure by more than 25%, so.
Yeah, you would cover,
It covers everything.
it would cover everything.
'Cause what is the percentage increase in the floor space?
It is,
Adding 14%, 14.1%?
That's the lot.
Yes.
that's on the application.
That's the lot coverage, right?
That's lot coverage.
Because we're going,
We're looking for a percent
correct me if I'm
Oh,
wrong.
of what they're,
of habitable floor
Because it is a
area.
big increase to the building, as it's it's size of building on premise, so it's a 960 square foot.
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it's,
We're doubling the size of
You
the,
Basically
double the
double,
size.
right, I think
Yeah.
it's, I did it, well, I guess I knew the answer to my own question, but it was 124, it's a 124% increase. So you're doubling the size.
yes.
Which I don't necessarily see as a problem.
Yeah, I know.
I just,
Well, I'm trying to figure out exactly how. we
it's just
form
interesting how,
form
you know.
the motion.
What's that?
I'm trying to figure out
Yeah.
still the proper way how we should form the motion, how to cover it all in, under 1.6, but we'll have to close the public meeting first, and
Yeah,
then we can talk about that.
all right, I'll
Make a motion to
make a
close
mo,
the
yeah,
public hearing.
make a, all in favor?
In favor.
Aye. All right. So the motion, Alexa, how do you wanna, you're gonna have to word this right. Guess if you,
Make a motion granting a variance under section 175.6, blah, blah, blah.
170.
B1,
B1, subsection 1,
insufficient areas. Regarding side setback,
yeah, but that
less,
was,
oh, we don't have that, I'm sorry, oh, yeah, actually, would.
you would,
Yeah.
you're still, right.
Right, regarding side setback. Less than 25
Less than
feet.
25,
Feet. As well as building coverage exceeding 20%?
Lot coverage.
Lot coverage.
I'm sorry, lot coverage.
I think that will cover all of it,
Except for the 25%.
except, right, except for the 25%.
Right.
But that will be covered under,
Yeah, should the motion be specific in what we're granting? So in other words, less than 25 feet
Typically, you will,
specified?
in the motion, you will specify the exact number.
Yeah, like 19.2.
right,
Right.
Right.
So we could say regarding the side setback of 19.2 feet.
Right.
As well as a lot coverage of 20.7.
20.7.
Right. So I think that's it, except for the 25%.
How do we word that in?
See.
Because these are,
Well, are you referring to A or C?
Hey,
A.
maybe both.
Oh,
But,
right.
but that one is specifically just saying that the building commissioner has the right to issue if it's less than 25%.
Yeah, so I think it's just B, but, yeah, I was saying 175-1.6B subsection 1.
Well, do you want to look at C?
Well, then we're gonna do C also.
Okay,
There'll be another variance on the subsection
right, because that's,
C,
yeah.
increasing the non-conforming nature of the habitable floor by 25% to 100 by 124%. As the board finds the reconstruction, extension, or alteration shall not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood in which the structure is located than the existing non-conforming structure. Say that 5 times fast.
I'm hoping Paul's writing it all down.
Yeah, David, can you, okay, let's see, the motion was to grant the increase in habitable floor area.
Have a floor area.
Habitable floor area by, what was the percentage?
124? 124%.
124%.
And I was just thinking, then we would say the Board of Appeals finds that the extension or alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood in which the structure is located than the existing non-conforming nature.
Well said.
Right out of the book.
Okay, and we'll just use that, pull the rest of the language right from,
Right.
Right from
But from
C.
the
C.
C.
Right.
right, 6C.
All right.
One of us has to regurgitate that back.
Is there a lot right next door? Lot 36, I mean, I'm sorry, there's a lot, of course, but is there?
Yeah.
Is there a home
It's-
there?
Yeah,
It's in the-
there's a house.
Is there a picture of it?
It's pretty far away from the lot line, though.
Looked like it was, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, is there a house on it?
On lot 36?
It's pretty far away though, right?
Yeah, it's pretty far away. Yeah,
Trees in between.
it's got to be at least
Yeah,
40.
one of the pictures, it looked like it
Yeah.
was
40 feet,
pretty
yeah.
bad. I mean,
Yeah. it's
Take
on a-
that one, and gives you a view.
yeah. Because I think the apron on the pool, yeah, it does, yeah, because the apron on the existing pool actually extends further. than
Extends
that.
further.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice additional, I think it's a nice, nice project overall.
Hoping Paul can help us with the wording.
Yeah, you wanna,
Or did you write
Okay,
that down?
let's, yeah, do you wanna make the motion, or do you wanna?
Sure. All right. I'll make a motion under section 175-1.6, subsection B, section 1, insufficient areas. For a variance for a side setback of 19.2 feet. And a building, I'm sorry, a
Lot.
lot coverage.
coverage.
Lot coverage exceeding 20% of 20.7%.
A lot coverage of 20.7%.
Yeah, exceeding the,
Exceeding the 20% max.
exceeding the 20% max. I don't know if I need to say that or not.
How about, okay, exceeding 20% to
There you
20.7.
go.
Right.
There you go.
And decreasing.
You want the side setback?
Right.
Yeah, maybe we should say decreasing from 25 feet to 19.2 on the side setback.
I think you'll be fine if you just say it's to 19.2
Okay.
feet, because the decision itself will also reference back to the plans.
Right. Okay. And then, let's see. I'll also make, oh, actually, want to vote on that motion?
Yeah, well.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion under section 175-1.6, subsection C. Increase in non-conforming nature of the habitable floor area by 124%. The board finds that the extension or alteration shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood in which the structure is located than the existing non-conforming nature.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, good luck.
Just to, as we do have the accessory apartment, and I realize you're not granting a variance.
You don't need one.
You don't need one.
don't think
I guess the question on a few of these conditions or criteria that are in the definitions. I just want to,
A lot of it seems to be taken care of by the building inspector.
yeah,
Right.
I
On the
wasn't
plan
sure
set.
because if, we probably don't need to, but I just wanted to point out a discussion. Do you all think we should add these as conditions or?
I mean,
Add it as a condition that.
yeah, that it meets the definition of the
Definition of
accessory
accessory apartment.
apartment?
There are a few that are,
I mean, from my perspective, I mean, Chris, you're going to file for a permit.
right.
Yes,
Chris is going to.
Yeah,
yeah.
Chris will go down this list and make sure they conform.
right.
So I'm not sure why we need to speak to that.
Yeah, I
Yeah. I mean, good point.
wasn't sure, wasn't sure, so I just wanted to bring it up as a discussion to see if not,
Yeah,
you're
sure.
fine.
Does
if
it
you-
hurt to make it
Part of the conditions,
to
no.
part of the conditions? I don't think it does. I
No,
mean,
I don't think it hurts. I just didn't think we had.
Yeah,
to
I
do
mean,
it.
I
Either
mean,
way,
we
it's
can,
gonna do it.
either way, they're gonna do it, but we can make it definitely a condition to this motion that you adhere to the accessory apartment definition. Not exceed.
Okay.
I mean,
Fair.
but again, most of that's gonna be taken by the building inspector anyways.
Yep.
I guess the only thing, I mean, he could go is more than two people living there, or,
Right, but we would say, if we're going to go this route, we would say That it meets the definition of a
Right,
accessory
it meets the
apartment.
definition
Right.
of an accessory apartment.
You know, personally, I feel like we're kind of overstepping. in a
Yeah.
sense. I don't really see why we need to speak to it.
I don't
So
think,
why speak to it?
yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I mean, like, why open, why create an issue?
I mean, I would rather not. I think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good.
So,
Okay. Great.
I think it gets posted in, by,
Yeah, it's what, it's, the decision would be, 30.
when do you turn the decision around by? How many days?
We always shoot for a signature within 10 days from the approval, so it'll be, Jim, I'll have to be getting this to you
Yep,
early next week,
okay.
and then when you sign it, then
It'll-
it goes to the clerk, gets stamped, and then we mail it out,
then
and then there's a 20-day appeal period,
Okay.
Okay.
and then we send that.
In the
decision
process,
out
I
to-
can
Right.
apply for the building permit.
No, you can't apply for it within the 20-day.
Really?
Yeah, you're gonna have to
Okay.
wait.
Yeah,
Because it could be an appeal.
Okay.
right. But, and he'll have, the different departments will have a copy of the decision.
Okay.
But, you know, we'll put a note there too, that it's a, you know, the appeal period runs till whatever date that might be.
Okay. All right.
Alright,
Thank you.
hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, picking up on the agenda, the second item is the application concerning 133 South Worcester Street. Applicant owner is the Roman Catholic Bishop of Fall River. Applicant seeks relief from zoning bylaw 6.2 to create new lots which have less than 40,000 square feet of lot area. Presenting this tonight is, can you identify yourself for the record?
Yep, Attorney Matthew Costa.
And you are representing the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I note that we have an opinion from town council concerning this. Mr. Costa, you've seen that, I take it?
I am aware of it, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Di Giuseppe informed me of it, yes.
Okay. Can you present the application and what you're trying to do first, and then we'll talk about that after?
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We want to take up we discussed really right before we opened the meeting about the fact that I am a member of the parish.
Sure, sorry, I didn't give anybody the opportunity. Go ahead.
So I am
Mr.
a member
Tenora.
of the parish. Although
As am I.
Yeah,
As am I.
yeah. I don't think it would affect my ability to render any kind of decision. I'm not a stakeholder in anything they're doing. But I do want to let it be known that I am a member. I don't know if that affects the board in any way. I didn't even think about it until it was brought up right before the meeting.
Okay, so basically, it's up to you to decide whether you feel you can proceed without favor concerning the fact that you're a member of, in this case, a member of the parish. I mean, I recused for the last application because of the reasons I stated. If you feel you can render an impartial decision, then you don't have to recuse yourself. It's up to individual members to say whether they have an issue that may impact their decision and make it less than fair and impartial. That would go for Mr. Boulian, would go for myself as well. We're members of the parish.
Yeah, I've never come across this before.
We have. The board has, in fact, for another project a few years ago for St. Mary's. I don't feel that the fact that my family has gone to St. Mary's will affect my decision. It's up to you to decide that, and then I'll ask if anybody else present wishes to be heard on that issue in particular.
I mean, I don't feel it would on my end, but I at least wanted to just have a quick discussion
Sure.
about it before we proceeded.
And Mr. Booley?
I have no problem with it.
Okay, and is there anybody here in support or in opposition to the application who feels that any of us would present a conflict of interest by sitting on the application, on the hearing tonight? Nobody feels that there's a conflict of interest that would cause any of us to recuse ourselves, to sit this out? For the record, no. So are you comfortable proceeding? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up. I forgot.
Yeah, no worries.
I forgot to jump in there, as I said I was going to. Okay, Mr. Costa, what is it that you're trying to accomplish for your client?
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, so this petition relates to the existing rectory building that's or the rectory property. It's the rectory is on 133 South Worcester Street. That continues to be used as the rectory for St. Mary's Church, even though the old church, which had been across the street, was replaced by a new church that's further away. This building continues to be used as the rectory. What the church is looking to do is take this existing parcel of land. So right now, it has 354 feet of frontage. It has 50,100 square feet of lot area. And depth-wise, from the street going back, it's about 160 feet deep. And it's sort of a unique property compared to other properties in the neighborhood. We included with the petition one aerial view with the assessor's map with the overlay of the like a satellite image from the town's GIS system, and I think we highlighted where this parcel is compared to others in the neighborhood, just to show that this is an R40 district. But if you actually look in the neighborhood and you look at existing lots along South Worcester Street, on Power Street, which is across the street, Peter Street, Stevens Street, it's substantially, it's much larger than many other existing residential lots. And it has a lot more frontage than most lots in the neighborhood. And I wasn't sure how clear that picture was, and my client gave to me a handout, which I'll give to you. That just is, the purpose of this is just to show the parcel that we're dealing with, which on our plan, it shows that parcel divided into two lots, which is what we're seeking to do. So the lot we're dealing with is highlighted in blue.
Thank you.
Thanks. And, the purpose of this is just to illustrate sort of how this existing parcel sort of relates to the neighborhood. And I'll also point out that the board in 2014 granted variances similar to what we're requesting for the lands that the former church occupied. So on this map, parcels 51 and 51-01, those were approved by variances granted by this board in 2014. And the rationale for what we're requesting is similar in this case. Just another kind of unique situation about this property is also that the portion of the property that is shown on the plan as Lot 2. What we're seeking to divide this property into Lot 1, which will contain the existing rectory, and that'll continue to be used as a single-family home, and to separate off the easterly side of the property, which is shown as Lot 2. And right now, those two parts of this land really do have a separate character. There's a fence that goes back from Worcester Street. On one side of the fence is the yard that goes with the rectory building. And on the other side of the fence is basically a gravelled lot that is the old overflow parking lot from the church. So essentially what we're looking to do is separate the old overflow parking lot area that's already separated by a fence and is already sort of its own area as its own separate buildable lot. So the two proposed lots, if this variance is granted, which is only a variance for lot area, the two proposed lots will each have much more than the required frontage. So the planning board will not need to have a public hearing on this. It'll just be a Form A, what they call an approval not required plan, where since we have the required frontage, we just have to show it to them and they'll sign the plan. So the main approval that we need to accomplish what we're looking to do is the variance that we hear on today. So both proposed lots have, Lot 1 has 188 feet of frontage, Lot 2 has 165 feet. We've shown the setbacks for the existing rectory to show that it will meet setbacks if this variance is granted. And we've shown the setbacks on the proposed lot to show that a home built on Lot 2 would meet all setbacks. So we would respectfully submit that, and actually since the town council provided a legal opinion, I'll make sure I address the legal standard for a grant of a variance, which is in your bylaws, but the bylaws are based on Mass General laws. So Chapter 40A, Section 10 of Mass General laws describes the legal standard for the grant of a variance. And so one element of that is that the land in question is affected by circumstances relating to soil conditions, shape, or topography, specifically affecting this parcel, but not generally other parcels in the zoning district. And so we would respectfully submit that there is a unique circumstance relating to shape. Apparently, town council has weighed in and...
Well, let's get to that in a minute. I'm going to present
Okay,
that.
so...
I just want to know your reasons that...
So I'll just address the legal standard without trying to rebut town
We'll
council.
talk about that in a minute.
So we respectfully submit that if you look at the map of the area, this parcel is different from most other residential lots in the neighborhood in terms of its shape in particular, with so much frontage along South Worcester Street. And part of the standard is actually soil conditions, shapes, or topography of the land or structures thereon. And basically the way that the lot presently exists, with one half of it being a former parking lot, it's separated by a fence, the other side being the separate yard area that goes along with the rectory. Basically, the rectory part of the land will not be affected by this. It'll still be basically the same. The proposed lot line goes along where the fence is. And so we're really just proposing to build be able to use the other side as a buildable lot for a single-family home. The two lots to be created, they'll be similar in size to other residential lots in the neighborhood. So one of the goals of zoning is to have some amount of uniformity in neighborhoods. And so this is consistent with that goal. Part of the legal standard is that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without derogating from the intent and purpose of the town's bylaw. And since this will fit in with the neighborhood, and one of the goals of zoning generally is to have some uniformity with uses and with density of development. I mean, this doesn't undermine that in the neighborhood. It'll fit right in. And then the detriment to the public good, it's a residential use. We actually rezoned this a couple of years ago, or maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, from industrial. Part of this land was zoned industrial, and the diocese had it rezoned to residential. And so now, obviously, this is a residential proposal. And so, you know, a residence that meets setbacks, we would submit that there's really no potential for detriment to the neighborhood. The two dwellings that were built across the street at the corner of South Worcester Street and Power Street, they came out very nice. I don't think anyone would dispute that those fit in with the neighborhood. And just as a general understanding of just what part of the motivation for this, or sort of what will happen, is that the intent is that the parish will build a new rectory on the land that it owns where the church is now. It would go on the same parcel of land. There's a large parcel of land where the church and parish center are now. They would like to build a new rectory. And when the new rectory is built, these two parcels would be sold. And, this isn't like a proposal where sort of a developer is just seeking to what I should say is that this is something that'll benefit the community we submit. The parish is an important part of the community. The parish center is used by organizations affiliated with the church beyond just parishioners. And if the parish is able to do this, this presently tax-exempt property, you'll have 2 new lots that go onto the tax rolls. And it'll help the financial footing of the parish going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Costa. I have a question. Well, you just distributed the plan showing the individual plots.
Yeah.
Is there a house on each of 204 and 203? Or is the house there straddling 204 and 203? To the east of the locus?
So,
Right.
I think if we look at,
Well, you've outlined this, showing us little
So-
plots on the assessor's map to say
Right.
that dividing this big one is going
Oh.
to look like all the little ones. So I'm asking what's on the little ones now?
so we actually have an aerial, which we could probably make that out. So this was part of the petition, so.
Yep.
It looks like 204 has a house on it by itself. I don't know what 203 is or who owns it.
Okay. Let me look at those.
14 to the left, has a house on it.
Sorry, what I'm asking though
What-
is,
what-
is there a house on each of the individual assessed lots here? Or are some of the assessed lots combined?
Right.
Yeah, and
And that's what I want to, why don't I
What
have?
if I may, what I pointed out was that it's small, but we have an aerial, a couple of aerials that we submitted with the petition. One, the larger one, you can see the abutting parcels, 13, 14, 204, those each have homes on them.
Okay, let me see. Well, I'd agree that 204 looks like it does. It looks like 203 does not.
Yeah, it looks like 203 does not.
And on the other side, is that a house on assessed parcel 14 and a house on 13 and 12? That's what it looks like?
to me.
Okay.
The only one in
This is
question would be
closer.
203. I can't
Oh.
really,
I think there might be something in the back, but I just don't know. That one's obviously larger, and it's sort of a retreat lot, because it goes behind all the other lots that are on South Worcester Street.
there was some in our package. I don't know if you saw this.
Yep.
It skips over that 203 plot.
Right. There's nothing at 203 as far as I can see.
Right, which would,
There's some kind of structure in the back, you can see it over here, but I don't know what it
Well,
is.
that's a different plot.
that's a different, yeah.
That's in back. Okay, if you'd like. Yeah. You can. And is it your,
Oh, sure, it's okay.
is it your position that the fence that exists there now is on the proposed lot line?
I don't know if it's exactly on the lot line, but the lot line it basically follows that track.
Okay.
Do we know what the dotted line here is on 203?
It's the rear property parcel line, I think.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
it's just a
that is-
printing.
No, that means that at one point, those lots were separated. The dashed line means they were combined
Oh.
at some point.
Okay,
So what it, I guess what I would say at this point would be this structure on, down here
yeah,
might be part of 203.
Yeah, I think it is. That was my understanding.
Yeah.
It's one parcel of land.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
You're saying it is now a structure on combined 203 and the back lot?
That the
Paul?
parcels would have been, that dashed line just represents that.
That it used to be separate parcels,
That they-
but now it's not?
Right.
I didn't know that.
Neither did I.
Okay, so there is something to the rear of what's shown as 203. Okay,
It's almost like an easement. It's like an easement too.
oh, it might be, it might be.
I can move the map around.
Yeah.
Sure, move in if you can.
Just gotta figure out where.
So is that Power Street coming down?
Yeah. right there.
Okay,
Sorry, it's has
Yeah.
it on its own, hold on.
it's hard to tell where the lots are on this, of
Slide
course.
up.
When you could pull up the assessor's map too.
Slide, see right over to the right, keep going over, right there, a little bit more. It almost looks like there's a driveway coming
Yep,
in,
yep, okay,
Oh, I see.
which might
There's
bring
a-
you down to the back,
I got you. That might be
So that
part
might
of
be your-
203, okay.
your easement.
That's the farm.
Thank you.
The little farm there, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Point of order.
Hold on,
If you go to the town.
sir, hold on, 1 second, until I open it up for comments or questions, okay? Go ahead.
No, so, I mean, by that, it would look to me like that, what you're saying is accurate, where that might have been combined, and that might be, so you're not seeing 203 as it would relate to all the other houses on there, but it might be like almost an easement to get to that back larger
Yep.
lot.
I see, and my question was specifically, though, each of these small plots shown in the assessor's map, do they contain houses? And it looks like the ones immediately to the east and west
And
do.
west do.
In
Yep.
fact, though they look small on the assessor's map, there are houses there.
Right.
So that's what I was asking. Now, sir, did you have a point of clarification?
Yes, if you go
You're going to state your name for the record?
Calvert Leno, 54 Cross Street.
Okay.
If you go to the Board of Assessors website and you submit the parcel number.
Yep.
You can get a picture of the property, of the items as it's listed, and if it has a building on it.
Fair enough, thank you. We're just looking at the materials that were submitted and trying to make sense of that at the moment. Okay, now, council has given us some advice in the form of an email saying that we do not have the jurisdiction to do what's being sought. From Amy Questle, dated November 1, I'm just going to paraphrase certain parts, but Massachusetts courts have consistently held, I'm in the second paragraph, the size of the lot is an attribute entirely different from its shape. The former is not a proper consideration under the variance standards of Chapter 40A. See, then there are two cases cited. Specifically, the fact that a lot is too small to qualify as a buildable lot gives the Board of Appeals, that's us, no authority to grant a variance. Cases cited, an undersized lot is not a basis for a variance. Ordinarily, failure to meet dimensional requirements does not satisfy the odd shape criteria of the statute. Variances are not normally available to remedy deficiencies in frontage and area. Further, fourth paragraph, variance is not properly granted where the hardship was created by the landowner. The case of Whelan versus Board of Appeals of Norfolk. And then you'll see the Lawler case down below that is actually Taunton case from 2013.
I was involved in that case.
I wondered if your firm was. Variance annulled that allowed the locus owner to construct a single-family dwelling on a lot subdivided from a single buildable lot, which is exactly what we're being asked to do here. Now, Mr. Costa, does this case that you're presenting us differ from what council is advising here? And if so, how?
Yeah, it was a very different case.
Yeah, the facts are all different in every one, but
Right. It involved it's hard for me to remember, but it was basically one lot behind the other. And I don't know if the lot in the back had no frontage, but part of the,
So it might have been satisfying other criteria as well. You're-
part of the issue was that there was a shared access way with a neighbor, and the neighbor was Lawler, who challenged
See,
it.
that sounds familiar. I think the board, might have looked at that case before.
So it had, I honestly don't know how to kind of apply those facts to this,
Yep.
to this case, because it was just a different,
Well, I'll tell you.
very
that
different proposal.
I didn't know about this until yesterday, I think. And board as well, it was posted in our Dropboxes, yeah, I think yesterday. So I haven't had a chance to look at that either, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just asking if you have differences that you want to talk about.
I mean,
My suggestion is, I'm not prepared to make a decision on this tonight. My suggestion is going to be that we continue this and ask council to attend our next meeting so that we can ask questions and also give Attorney Costa, who's appeared before us before and is always very well-informed and gracious about things, to maybe look at the case that his office was involved in a few years ago, come back to us and say, well, here's why that's different. In other words, to go forward and make a fully informed decision, I don't think I could do that tonight. I don't want to just turn it down, and I don't want to just go against what apparently town council is telling us, that we don't have the authority to do what's being asked. Do you have any response to what I just said? I mean, obviously, you want a decision when you can get a decision.
Well, yeah, and I understand, I would like, I don't agree with council's
Right.
interpretation. I mean, for one reason, I think that really it's the domain of the board in the first instance to decide whether it deems that it finds that, I mean, the board's the fact finder. The board decides whether there's unique circumstances relating to the land. Every case is so different. I mean, me and council, we probably could go back and forth with different cases but I would submit the board granted very similar variances in 2014. They were recorded, legally valid. The houses were built.
The other two lots were owned by the diocese.
Right.
I remember that. That's what I was
Right.
referring to. I don't remember the factors that were involved there. I think it was one lot that we said, okay, you can make it two smaller lots.
Yeah.
But quite frankly, I don't remember what the dimensions were there.
Yeah.
It might have been enough
I read,
area there to make two
I-
lots. I just don't know that. We
It
could
was-
also look back at that decision.
I wouldn't mind, since you reference it, I wouldn't mind taking a look at
It-
what the board has said about that in particular.
And
We can pull it.
And it
Yeah.
may be that even though we did that, none of you were here, I was. That's why I have white hair. It may be that we didn't have the authority to do that, but nobody ever challenged it in court so that it has stood, It may be that it was a bad decision legally of the board. I don't know that. I just want to look at the factors that were in front of us then.
On a related matter,
Yeah.
town council has said with another board that a prior decision that might have been issued erroneously, you're not bound by it.
And this board's been advised that as well.
Right.
That if we made a mistake and nobody acted on it, it's gone. It is what it is. We're not going to throw the homes out. We're not going to tell the homeowners they've got to move, obviously, but neither are we bound by it as precedent if it was a mistake.
I wouldn't mind seeing it, though.
I agree, because there may be something instructive in that
Right.
application, which we still have.
Right.
And also, I think because Mr. Costa is saying we do have the authority, and our town council, who's not here, is saying you
no.
don't, I'm just not comfortable making a decision either way tonight.
one thing I would say is that the town council, so there's cases that say lack of area by itself doesn't meet the shape criterion of the standard.
I know where you're going.
And so, I mean, but by itself,
But I don't know that that's
So-
what those cases say. That's-
when you have other factors that are in play as well, I mean, obviously, I'm not, when there are other factors in play, I would submit the board has the discretion to grant, to act on it.
Okay.
But obviously, you have legal counsel's opinion, so,
But here, it's the applicant which owns 2 lots, so the hardship that would be alleged is created by this applicant. Now, it may be a good hardship, I mean, helping out a religious entity or organization is not a terrible thing in life, but if we don't have the power to do that, we don't have the power to do that. You know, the diocese may have to just sell this as 1 lot, if that's the only option. I think that we have to continue this and ask town council to be here at the next meeting. Now, I'm not done yet, I'll ask anybody who wants to comment, but when is the date of the next meeting?
I think this 18th.
It's not that late.
December 18th.
Oh, I don't think it's that late. I don't think we would have done that. I hope not.
I wasn't here when you said that, but I
Yeah, someone put it
December
on-
18th.
It's the 18th on my calendar.
I don't think I was here when you did those.
Well, we don't have to stick to that. I mean, we're just
Right.
setting another day. I think that's a little late in the season. I'm surprised that we, how about the 11th? Is that open?
Yep,
We have a couple applications for that 18th meeting, so as long as I get them out sooner than we intended,
we would still
So
have
we
time
have
to.
applications that you haven't noticed yet, right?
because it's so far out, we wanted to wait.
Okay, so would you have
But
time
we-
if it was the
I think
11th?
it'd still be okay.
Yeah, that's,
So they'd have to be, okay, so on those
They'd have to-
notices, they have to be in the paper by next Wednesday.
I'll
So we would have
those done
time.
by Friday.
Yeah, so we have time.
is the 11th available for members?
I'm good either day, to be honest with you.
I'd rather, the 18th, things fill up close to the holiday.
I'm good either one.
Yeah, I'm good either one.
Mr. Costa is the 11th, and I know you don't want to continue this, I'm just asking you if you're available.
yeah, either date.
I'm going to ask that we shoot for the 11th for our next meeting rather than December 18th. But I'm going to, I think, recommend that we continue this, take a vote to continue this until that date because of what we've been talking about. Are there any other questions, though, of board members first, of Mr. Costa while he's up?
Not that I can see right now. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here to review, to be honest with you.
And I like, actually, the plan shows the additional house fits right in the pocket of the setbacks, at least the house that's configured here, you know, they're not bound by that. But, you know, they tried to do what they're trying to do in a reasonable, showing us a reasonable additional lot. But I think we have to find out if we have the power to do it, given that we have in the file, you know, town council's opinion.
There's nothing on the west side.
No. Nope, that's just the side yard for that
That's-
building.
That's also a parking area, I think,
Yeah, that was an overflow parking at one point.
both sides of the
Yeah.
rectory, right.
But they're looking to, and correct me if I'm wrong, they're looking to sell both these sides.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the point, I think.
Yeah, when the new rectory is built, would be to sell these both.
By dividing it, they can get 2 homes, or 2 lots sold.
Is there a
one
reason
house.
why you depict a house on one side and not the other?
It just fits better on this side. To meet setbacks, you could fit a larger, lot 2 is larger if it's on that side.
Right.
I don't think you could do it otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just asking.
It would be too small.
Yeah, be too small.
The last time, I reviewed the board's decision from the last time, and those lots were about the same size as what Lot 2 is on this. They were a little over 20,000 square feet.
It does look like it, I'll grant you that, but I want to look at the application, and At least we'll have more information next time. With that, having said that, can I ask if there's anybody else here to speak in favor of or in opposition to this application generally? I see a lot of people here. Yes, could you identify yourself for the record?
Jim Riley, 149 West Main Street, so I would speak in favor.
Your rationale, your reasons?
Oh, yeah, so the rationale would be, similar situation was done across the street. The lots were a little bit smaller, 20,000 square foot each. What we've been able to do is create 2 new structures on those residential homes. Right now, this current the subject property we're talking about is not on the tax rolls. If we were to sell it, the rectory, to an individual, it would come on to the tax rolls, and then we'd get 4, 5, 6 grand of taxes. If we were able to subdivide a separate lot from that and build a similar structure on that as well, without demolishing the character of the older house and put a new house next to it, similar idea, 4, 5, 6 grand, tax revenue would be to the town. Now that would be in perpetuity, so it's not a one-time influx to the town. And the other thing I should state is, I also have another role in the town, I'm on the board of assessors. Another thing that the town is trying to do is to create new growth. Anytime that we can build a new structure, anytime we can create a new lot that builds another structure with it, or in this, what you just saw here before you, the previous applicant, was to expand the structure, we increase new growth in the town. So that's additional tax revenue. As most of us know, the property tax revenue is the biggest tax generator, the biggest revenue generator for the town. So anytime we can do that in a responsible way, that's something that the town, I believe the town should encourage to do.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to voice agreement or opposition to the application as filed? I see a lot of faces here. You can, yes, stand up and just tell us your name and where you live.
Teresa Kelly, 285 East Main Street,
Thank you.
and I agree with Jim for all the same reasons. I think it, in my opinion, as a real estate appraiser, I don't think it would be detrimental to that neighborhood. For one thing, because of all the non-conforming lots that already exist, single-family homes in general. I think if they were to create 2 house lots, it would be in character with that neighborhood. I think it would just be a positive aspect of that neighborhood.
You are an appraiser, professional appraiser?
Yes,
Thank you.
and I used to be on the board of assessors too, in the town of Norton.
We have a lot of assessors here. Our assessments are going to go. No, thank you. All levity aside. Anybody else wish to voice favor or opposition to the application? Yes, your name?
Jane Meyer, 23 Shelley Road.
Yes, thank you.
I am in favor of this. I believe bringing the rectory down to the new location and selling the 2 properties would benefit the town, tax purposes, and things.
Yep, thank you. And Mr. Costa, is there a sale in, under contract or anything like that, or is this
No.
prospective?
No, it's all prospective.
Yep, okay. So obviously, it would derive more revenue for the parish, the diocese, the bishop, would enable other things, and additionally, the comments that we've heard.
Would help build the new rectory.
Exactly.
That costs money to build. So that would be a huge benefit to the parish.
Let me ask go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to ask the question, so the new rectory, is that going on existing church property?
Yeah, I don't have a map of it, but the church in Parish Center on a large parcel of land that would have enough space to put a rectory building on.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just curious if we were adding a lot.
So so on the tax assessment point, that's already tax exempt property.
Right.
So no new property would come off the rolls.
Exactly.
These 2 properties, or this property, would go on the rolls.
Right.
To any of the assessors, former assessors in attendance, is it accurate that a house on each lot times 2 brings in more taxes than one large lot with one house on it? I assume that the answer is yes from what you've said.
Yes, so the answer would be yes.
Because land is taxed differently than the
So-
improvements?
Right now, the parcel is taxed as all one parcel with one house on it. Once the parcel is separated into two separate parcels, the house and the parcel underneath it may come down slightly in value because the amount of land that's there is less, but not significantly, say, in half, because it's still a buildable lot. Then the other lot would increase, could be 160,000 in value, something like that. And then if a structure was put on that, could be up 400,000, something like that. So, yes, your answer would be the two separate would generate more taxes than the one by itself.
Okay, I don't know if that's relevant to our decision even, but it's a matter of curiosity. Land and buildings taxed at the same rate,
Yes, so.
even though it's broken down on assessments,
Everybody's assessment would be broken down between structures and land. The tax rate is the same
Okay.
on whether, you add up all of the value of the land, all the value of the
Yep.
building, and if the tax rate is the same, and that's no matter whether it's a commercial property or a residential property.
but obviously if there's a structure and improvement on it, it raises the valuation.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you for explaining that. Just curious. Is there any further question or discussion, or on my idea to continue?
Mr. Chairman, there was someone else who stood up, I think. I didn't mean to interrupt, I just wanted to.
No, go, thank you, Mr. Go right ahead. Could you identify yourself?
For Judy Burgess, 16 Smith Street. And I think for all the same reasons, I'm in favor of this project. And bringing the rectory to the church property makes so much sense for St. Mary's, and having those two lots separated and both buildable, or one buildable, makes sense for the town.
Thank you. Of course, this, whether we say yay or nay, the rectory can be built on the church property at the 123 end of Power Street. I mean, that's subject to other building codes and other things that they'll have to go through to get that. But, our decision is simply whether to basically grant a variance so that there are two undersized lots, which council is saying we can't do, but we want to hear more. Unless there are other questions that you want to raise right now, is there a motion to continue this to, we said December 11th?
I'll make a motion to continue this to December 11th.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. With the, and I'll seek council's
Yeah,
assistance.
Since the attorney's letter was referenced in the meeting, can I have a copy of that? Could you forward it to me?
I believe we can at least, the sections that I read out loud into the record.
Just so I can look at the cases
No, I
she
understand.
cites and everything.
Of the cases, absolutely, and I think the sections that I read, yes, I understand, and we want to be fair about that, of course.
Okay.
But the only concern is whether it's privileged at all, to the extent that there's an opinion, although we've communicated the opinion.
I understand.
The specifics of the opinion,
Yep.
maybe we want to redact, but I'll
I-
follow through with that within the next day or two.
And I understand what her opinion is, so.
Right. Yeah. Thank you,
fine.
Mr. Costa. Is there a vote on the motion to continue to the 11th? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you.
We'll take it up again in a few weeks. Let's just give a second for people to exit if they want to. I was looking at 14, saying, that's a tiny lot. I didn't think there was a house there, but there's a house there. Yeah. I mean, I've driven by it, thousands of times, but I'm going to hold this up tomorrow when I drive by and go, oh, yeah.
I was mad they got rid of my church.
What's that?
I wasn't here for any of that when they got rid of the church. I was,
Yeah. That was quite a change.
I was not here.
I was surprised that they tore it down. That was a beautiful structure, I thought. But I guess
The
inside,
rehab was too much.
that's what but down in Rehoboth, there was the church on 118. It was rehabbed into a house and sold. It's an old church. You know what I'm talking about, by the Corn Crib Pine Farm. But I guess the
Oh, that's all right. I
assessment
just steal them here anyway.
trying it here wasn't going to work. I don't know, I wasn't.
It's actually, we had a meeting of the
But I was surprised to
Charter
see it.
Commission Monday night.
I was sad
At the
to see
library,
it.
and I was like,
You okay?
Yeah. All right.
We have just
well, no, when I was
just a
down
couple
there,
more
they didn't have
minutes and
anything.
we'll
I'm like, well, I
get
was
some
counting it being
ibuprofen
pens.
for you.
I was like, I didn't bring a pen.
So are there any bills or warrants tonight?
No.
Okay.
Were you-
There is a meeting minutes,
You didn't
right?
like a whole-
Yes.
Did we ever approve the September?
No, I thought we delayed that.
Well, actually, one reason I was asking, I
Okay.
think we were short one.
That's what I thought
We've been
too,
sharing.
I mean,
but I wasn't
yeah, we-
sure. I have them marked up.
Huh?
What's going on?
I was just saying, I was asking Nicole if she would make one more package, because I think we were short one.
More than enough.
Yeah, he was short.
For all of
He was short one, I was short one, and I don't have minutes.
Short what? What are the
The
applications?
documents, yeah.
Sorry, I had one right here. I usually print mine out at work, so I can,
Yeah. Okay.
maybe it's just,
Even better, I just,
maybe there's a pile of them here.
yeah.
If you read them or take them, I can delete them, I can bring them back for next time, otherwise.
I might have two right here.
I wanna look at them a little more. I'm gonna take that with me.
That's fine.
Here's the,
That's a
Tom-
lot of.
here's the Tom George. I mean, the other,
Yeah.
well, the one that you did.
Yep.
Well, they don't, you have that one though, right?
I have this one.
Again, I print them out at work mostly, so here. And here's the one we just did.
Yes, me if Alan, you want to take that one, then we're all.
Yeah, and
Here's
we're all
another
good.
copy of the one. Maybe I had multiple copies here. Looks like I had a couple copies of each. Do you want another copy of the church?
I'm good.
Nope, I think we're good now. sir.
Okay. Excuse me. In the interest of getting Jim back to his recovery bed.
All right. Okay.
We have minutes from September and October. Have you had a chance to review?
I don't have them.
Okay, they were in the Dropbox.
Oh,
Here, here's a paper one.
You had said, Paul, at the meeting, the last meeting, the September were not in shape yet. Have those been brought up to speed?
I think it's just October 30th. I didn't have September ones.
I thought we had all of the September.
We might have done it and got them in then, okay. I
think so.
I just
I
have,
only had October 30th.
well, we can check to see if September's
Yeah.
in the file. I mean, I can check tomorrow too.
Actually, I can look right now.
Yeah.
We should see if it's.
I just
posted at the
remembered-
cell
in
clerk.
my mind, I remember postponing September's minutes for
Me
some
too.
reason. But there might have been an edit.
It was more than an edit. I remembered that
Yeah.
it wasn't quite ready yet, so we just,
October 30th, I know we're not done the last meeting. 'cause
Well-
I missed
well, that's
that
the-
was October 30th.
Yes, so we have those today. September.
Well, why don't we look at those? Do you have those in front of you?
I do.
I reviewed them on Dropbox.
Okay. So, when you're ready, if there's a motion to approve the minutes, the chair would entertain that
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes
of October 30.
of October 30th, 2019.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'll print them out and
Yep.
get it to you.
And on the signature one, I took the draft off the back, so you can sign that signature paper.
Look at that.
Minutes.
What signature page?
the
Right
last
there.
Oh, I have one. I didn't know.
I did it so you could sign that one.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah,
And then the
I
front
have
one
it
still
somewhere.
says draft, but I'll just reprint the front top page.
How annoying.
I took it off the last one.
I got you. No, that's exactly what I was looking at, the first page. I didn't know what you were saying. Sure.
Thought I'd just try and make it easier.
Oh, thank you. Great. November 20, right? 20 today?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Is it? Yep.
I'll leave it here. Thanks. We can check on September later. See if we did them. I mean, I'll have,
I'm gonna see if she has it posted.
okay, well, I'd have a copy too in my computer, so we can look. They're either done or they're not. We can,
Yeah, I don't see anything, so we must not have them.
Okay, well, let's look at it for next time then, okay? Let's see, I'll see if I looked at them at all, and I remember Paul saying, wait, they're not ready yet.
I remember that.
So
I
maybe-
forget why.
I'm trying to.
Me too, and I don't
But
remember.
I remember us postponing that.
Yep. We can look at the meeting itself to see, what we were doing then. Oh, right at the second, no, that's just adjournment.
It didn't say.
But we'll see if there's a matter on here that we did that's not on here. We can check for the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm not remembering what that
Okay.
was, but I remember we had a few decisions that I think were done on
Yeah.
that September meeting, and maybe that had something, but we'll.
Take a look.
apologies,
We'll all
We'll get
look.
those rectified.
All of our great minds are looking at that for the next meeting, so. And sorry to move the meeting up on you, Nicole, but as long as we can publish, so there are 2 other applications?
I think there's 3, actually.
Oh, boy.
There's 2 for,
That means they're going to be due on, like Christmas Day.
there's 2 that are at 250 Mansfield Ave. And I want to say there's one other one. I think there's one other one.
I thought we only had 3. We have, and these 2.
Yeah, so moving this, now there'll be 4.
Can you lose one?
Well, actually,
I
one
guess that's not
question we
allowed.
have to, I mean, this is not, we have to explore this because 2 of those variance requests are in the same mobile home park. And they're coming to us because mobile homes are not an allowed use in any zoning district, and they're in commercial zoning. And they're just trying to do some additions and expansions. One trying to replace a single wide with a double wide trailer, but it's non-conforming, so we need
Mobile
to.
homes are not, what?
It's no in every.
Mobile homes are
There's no, no, no,
prohibited
no,
in
no.
every zoning district.
But there, we've done the mobile home park before. Is it because it's a pre-existing?
It's pre-existing,
Yeah.
so it would be a non-conforming use. The challenge is, it's the use that's the issue,
Right.
and we don't grant variance to use, so
Right.
they're trying to do some simple additions.
Let's,
And so we're trying to
I'll
figure
look
out
at-
if there's a way to do a more comprehensive.
yeah.
I can make the folder for that meeting tomorrow and throw it in there.
Yeah, put it up,
Ahead of time.
put it up when you can so we can look at it.
Was that an appeal rather than it's an appeal looking for a variance? Chris denied them
They're
then?
both very-
He did not deny them, those are both variances.
It's easier when there's a denial because
Correct.
the
Right, exactly.
issues are laid out there, right? But we can look at that ahead of time, and I'm going to
Yeah.
ask Amy about the 11th now, assuming Amy can come on the 11th, of course.
Right, we have to ask her, so we'll
We'll have to ask
reach
her,
out
but
to
I'll
her
do
tomorrow.
that tomorrow, okay. Anything else to come before us tonight? Jim is in some discomfort.
I could use some ice.
Well, I don't mean to bring up an issue, I just,
Go
just
ahead.
to make sure we're all good. The remote, the reason I asked about the remote participation the other day, I think in the email, was, I thought it all had to be signed by every board member, and,
So what happened there
okay.
is I had the planning board sign it, and so when you signed it, it was just, you took a vote and then Tom signs it.
Yeah,
I didn't do that with the planning board. I had all the signatures, which it should be fine because they approved it. But the select board wants, in that case, all the signatures on it. So,
Well, but does the select board want
so not
all
everyone,
of our
I'm sorry.
signatures?
Well, again, your form was different.
Oh,
And not everyone was there that night at the planning board. So there were one or two people not there, and,
I
So
think it was
that's-
mentioned that all members would sign, and then at the end, the form was just, I think that's what you're remembering, because I remembered that too. I think I
Yeah, well,
asked at the meeting, I said, wait,
Only because then I went to the charter commission meeting the following week,
Oh.
and we all signed it, and that's why I'm not trying to cause a problem, I'm just trying to
we
make
can
sure.
find out if
Yeah,
it is whatever the rule says.
Yeah, I think it was started because of how I formatted the planning boards, but
okay.
there was nothing in the policy that said, there's actually nothing in the policy that even says the boards have to do it, but I'm working on getting that original signed by all the members.
Okay.
Most of them did, but a couple weren't there, but they had a majority, they had enough votes
Yeah,
to
right.
approve it, so.
I see, but in our case, we were all here, and then Tom signed on our behalf, in effect.
Right, that's what I
Right.
understood we were doing.
Well, I think that's the reason the form changed, to make it simpler to say you approve it or not,
Okay,
because then it's in the minutes.
yeah,
That 11th meeting is now the only meeting I have. Did you make meetings beyond that, and I wasn't
No.
here?
No, not
we have
into.
not.
Even if you just maybe pick one more, just so if I get applicants.
We can do that.
Yeah, if we can get the
Because
January, good point.
Would you like at this point, if I get an application, to not put them on the next meeting?
Well, it sounds like the next meeting is going to be busy.
Yeah.
Plus, you'd only have 2 days to get the applications in, at this 3 days to get it in.
I
I mean, you'd have to publish next week, so
Yeah,
you wouldn't have,
but at least now, yeah, so that's fine, that can be that, I can do that, it just would be, just if I could let them know when.
yeah, no,
Right.
I understand, certainly.
Whether it's 1, 2, or 3 out, whatever you guys want to do,
Let's see.
at this point, I can really tell them
The week of the 13th, I'm not here. So,
So not the 15th?
no, probably, I mean, I'm
Okay.
22nd, 29th. I know 29th is probably a little late, but
Well, maybe 22nd, though, is good, because it's a little bit beyond the holidays.
Right.
Usually, hopefully dead, for our purposes. So, January 22,
Perfect.
Yep.
December 8, January 22.
Because-
December 11th.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Yeah,
That gets us back in the cycle of having it towards the end of the month, too.
that's true.
So just the January one?
we can do it. I can do it February 1.
We
too.
can look, we can look,
I'm trying
sure.
to figure out
It's
school
just-
vacation
it's just
week.
a
That's what I'm
little-
trying to figure out too. Do we know when that is?
I don't.
I think it's gonna be that 17th week, 'cause it's usually President's Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Week is school vacation.
so I would,
26 or the 12th?
either one. I'm good on either
Either.
one. If you want to keep it towards the end of the month, I can do the 26th.
Sure. Sure.
I'm sorry, 26th.
Yeah, I could do 26 if we
Okay.
want to keep it towards the end of the month.
We've spread them out a little bit, 5 weeks each, but that's fine.
You mean the week of the 26th?
The weekend.
Okay.
No, it would
That
be
is the 26th. yeah.
February 26th.
Oh, February, I'm
February.
sorry.
Wednesday, February
Yep.
26th.
So it'd be January 22nd
Mhm.
and February 26th.
That sounds fine. We can plan for it anyway. We could change it if,
Yeah, it's just helpful to have
Right.
something to kind of,
right, when people ask, when's the next meeting?
yep.
So Nicole
Yeah.
knows. Okay, great. Anything else? Can we move to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much.